Well, I hope I got this bane of my existence tamed finally. This is the piece that's been troubling me, or it's been a good test part, because I need to print 4 of them for every Prusa i3. And so it's a good piece because it has these overhangs, which are not huge overhangs, or major overhangs. The prints now are usually succeeding very well. It's just that I get to see whether or not the head is crashing into the overhangs and how badly. And I've been tuning it a lot. As you can hear right now, if you see how the sound is syncing up with the Y motion of the bed, the motor is tuned pretty high. The X motor, by comparison, is completely silent, and the extruder motor I can't hear really at all. So the Y motor I turned up because of the head crashing issue. I wanted it to at least not interfere with the movement of the Y, so give you a little bit of extra volume and vibration on the Y isn't a big deal to trade, and it's also, I guess, it's a little bit. Feel it here. Yeah, it's a teeny bit warm, but it's not anything you have to worry about heat causing any issues with the motor or anything like that. So the part where the overhang happens is coming up in a couple of minutes. Probably, I'm running at 74% full speed of what I had set up on Cura to slice at, and this is in 300 micron layers. And these are doing really well. You can see the extruder is having no trouble at all. Everything's coming out just right. I still haven't been able to flash Marlin onto my Arduino board for some reason. I'm thinking if I just take everything off of it, I'll have no trouble flashing it, but I shouldn't have to do that. It seems to be some kind of communication issue. But, you know, a couple reboots and maybe, I don't know, I'll do some testing. But I left my power supply in Bellingham, so I have to get a new one tomorrow so that I can actually work. So that's fine. My car is working well, so I just have to go over to the Apple store. Anyone want to go with? I might pick up an iPad 4 while I'm over there. Who knows? Anyway, we should wait for the 5, frankly. They say there's going to be a giant one. But I saw a really huge screen today, and a giant HDMI TV used as a monitor on a Mac. The Mac was not to be seen. It was actually the feng shui in that place was awesome. Put my setup to shame. Makes me wonder, what the hell am I doing? Not having a giant wall-sized screen with a keyboard in front of it. Alright. You know, and an obsession with feng shui. So you can see here also, okay, well, just a second ago, not too long ago, a few minutes, I started this print right after I had put on these PLA bearing bushings, and you can see the zip ties are still there. I didn't want to tighten them exactly, completely, just so that I could get the binding issue worked out before I cut them off. And they seem to be binding less. I put some PTFE grease on the rods, and I don't know how much that's making a difference, but frankly the amount of pull on the x-axis, the amount of work the X motor has to do has never been a big issue. It's not a bottleneck on these machines. In fact, the X motor is probably the one that has the least amount of hard work. It does have to do a lot of moving, and if you print fast, it has to do a lot of maybe moving fast, and that can definitely tax it. So I wouldn't say skimp, but in my case, the bed and the crashing of the head against overhangs causing the bed to move was an issue, and so that's the main reason that I turned Y up to make it do a little more work than it needs to do, keeping the torque high. And I don't know how that affects accuracy. That's another question. These motors, they don't ring especially, but if you put it in, say, hold it in one position with software and listen to the motor and you hear it ringing, it means that it's microstepping or sitting in between, and it's holding it there with some pulsing of voltage. And you can tune that, or you can mess around with it while it's sitting there ringing and mess with the voltage on your drivers. I've never had trouble messing with voltage on my drivers while things are running. You know, there's something will start skipping if you go too low, or it'll, you know, warm up if it goes too high. I'm checking here to see if I'm covering the microphone. It's really easy to do that on this iPad. I do it all the time. Okay, so the overhang seems to be doing really well. Well, here's another trick is, in addition to going a little slower, or, you know, the usual slowness that I do, I turn the temperature up by 5 degrees to 225 for this. And this is natural ABS, so it seems to be not doing what it was doing before, which is the overhangs would tend to lift up. And also, I haven't messed with the retraction, but there's also a seeming issue where there would be a glob left on the corner of the overhang, and so it seems that either the temperature has helped the pressure, and so it's not leaving globs, or anyway, you can see why this is a good test piece for head crashing into the overhangs. And then if I could back up, and I don't know if you can see, if I could get under the nozzle, see where it just did it actually. It crashed a little bit because it was bridging. See, it's okay that time, but just enough to make a snap. And here you can see the nozzle and the shape of the nozzle. And the shape of the nozzle is really at issue. You can see I could slow my bridging down, and it would be good. They say slow bridging works better and sags less, but actually this is doing okay. Kira, by the way, sliced this. So what we're seeing is its way of sort of always having things sort of end right where the next thing is supposed to begin. It does a good job of that. It'll even reverse things just so that it can have it begin in the same spot where it's ending. Make longer lines. It goes for longer lines, basically. So, yeah, okay. So that's past the crisis point. Now it'll do great. And I could even turn it up on speed to like 80 or 90%. I was worried before I'd had issues, I thought, with, well, I definitely had issues with it. It stopped pushing the filament. But since I tightened the idler to a point where I was feeling a little scared because I haven't tightened it this much before, it came out okay. So actually I'm at 85, so let's just go up to 90. And we'll see how it does at 90. I know we see a lot of videos online of these printers just flying through pieces, just printing them really fast, and it looks great. And I'm always amazed. This thing does a good job, and it can go fast, but I'm always tuning it, and I've been tuning it for a long time, especially this new extruder. I haven't been getting it to a point where I feel totally that I trust it, but I feel like now, and maybe at a slightly higher temp, 230, I feel like I could trust this just as I'm getting through halfway through this roll of natural ABS, where I could print multiple pieces and maybe even a plate of parts. That would be pretty fun. And of course with PLA it hardens much more hard right away than ABS does. At least it seems that way. It's like glass-like, so it would be interesting to see what I can do with PLA. The other thing is it probably doesn't have the same issues with, you know, once you tune the extrusion, globs and so forth, you get really nice stuff out of PLA. So, alright, well that's a good sign, and I'm glad to see the bushings are working well, and keeping, and the axis is not backlashing or anything. I just put the tensioner back on, and yeah, I'm liking everything. It's working well. I'm looking forward to flashing the Arduino and having it all work and move on to the next thing, which is to build another something.